Do you love consulting or coaching? Would you love to have more clients, but at the same time don't really love the marketing that you might need to do to get those clients? Find out why marketing is not something that you have to suffer through in order to get to the consulting or coaching that you love, but actually an integral part of it on today's Consulting Matters podcast. And welcome to the Consulting Matters podcast. This is the show for transformational, purpose-driven consultants and coaches who are ready to own the power of what they do and position themselves for the clients, the impact, the income that they're meant for. I'm your host, Betsy Jordan, and I am both a business mentor and a brand messaging and positioning strategist. So now let's get into what we're going to talk about on today's show. So we're going to be talking about marketing. And I'm sure when you hear that word, you're like, oh, do we have to? Yes, we do. I know it's that dreaded part of our consulting or coaching business ownership that so many of us want to avoid. Like, not only does it make us feel ick, like we're begging for an audience, but also super vulnerable because as consultants or coaches, we're the product, we're the service, we're the brand. There's nowhere to hide. So I don't know about you, but this is exactly how I felt when it was time for me to get serious about building my own business and my brand after getting by for a couple of years on referrals and networking. And so the idea of like doing marketing, particularly content marketing, was brand new for me, and I was thinking like, oh my gosh, I'm going to create articles and blog posts that nobody's going to read. And making videos for the first time when I'm not by nature, like an on-camera type of person, like absolutely made me want to hide. But I had this really wise mentor at the time who really pushed me on this. And I resisted, quite a bit at first, but I'm like, okay, I'm an obedient mentee. I'm going to go for it. I'm going to do what is asked of me. And then later on, I started to experience the results. And it's like, wow, there's a lot of power in pushing yourself outside your comfort zone. When it really became clear is when I got this call from this HR manager and an OD manager from AAA. So they had actually found one of my articles and they had quoted me for their grad school papers. And so when there was this opportunity for an employee engagement project, they literally begged their VP to bring me in because they were such fans of my writing, which was amazing to me. Years later, I had gotten this opportunity from a German company to facilitate a new leader assimilation for a leader in one of their daughter companies in Mexico. So I'm at this 5-star resort in the middle of the Mexican jungle because years before I wrote an article on new leader assimilation. My favorite story about the power of marketing, particularly content marketing, is when I landed a 6-figure gig with a Canadian company that I never met anybody in that company before. They only found me particularly because of my videos. I did these videos on org design years before. And what was really interesting to me is I found out later that the person who was competing for the gig was the author of the book that actually influenced my approach to org design years before when I was at Walt Disney World and I was an OD consultant there. And they chose me not because I had this deeper expertise, but because of my videos. And my videos really spoke to them. So here's the deal. If you want to replace the chase for clients and start not just attracting any client in general, but the clients that you're meant to work with, the ones that you're driven to help, you have to create the conditions for that to happen, which doesn't begin with just getting out there with some marketing tactics or even building a marketing system. It begins with addressing your mindset and perspective on marketing and really taking a stance around marketing where it's like, I want to love it to the same extent that I love consulting or coaching, because in many ways they are more similar than you realize, and they're all part of the same process of transformation that you're doing with your clients. So on today's episode, we're going to get into the real truth about marketing that most consultants and coaches don't fully get. We're going to talk about why being an expert can actually set a mindset trap that will stand in the way of the predictable client pipeline that you want. And then I'm going to give you 5 actions that you could take right now to help you start falling in love with marketing, or at least be on your way to loving marketing. So before we get into the content, I want to just go over a couple things real fast. Number 1, today's episode is about cultivating your marketing success mindset. So as you go through this episode, if you sense that there's some other fears or self-doubt at play and it's affecting your marketing mindset, definitely check out my last episode where I talk about fear and self-doubt in general and give you the cure. So if this is something that you are running into and it's making it hard for you to stay connected to the content that's in this episode, hit pause and go ahead and listen to that episode and then resume this one. And then, of course, second is if you need personalized help turning your complex ideas, your variety of strengths and experiences into client attracting messages and strategies, I'd love to work with you. Head on over to my website at www.betsyjordan.com. And don't forget, Jordan is with a Y, and schedule a call with me. So now let's get into the content. And we're really going to get into the first point, which is the real truth about marketing that most consultants and coaches don't fully get. So to begin this conversation around what marketing is, I want to clarify what marketing is not. So in general, marketing isn't this default about being slimy, sleazy, or scammy. It's a choice that certain people make when it comes to marketing. It's not in its essence about tricking people or trying to convince people to work with us if it's not something that they want or need. It's not about manipulating people or shameless, short-term, profit-maximizing hustlers. These are the people who are making those of us who really care about our clients and care about the work like the world's best kept secret, because we don't want to be like them and we don't have to be. That's just a choice on how people use marketing, but that isn't the essence of what marketing is. Marketing also isn't those invites to connect on LinkedIn that's really just followed by a sales pitch, or those spammy emails that are filling up our inboxes. Like, that's really more cold call sales, and our aversion to it makes sense because when somebody jumps into our inbox in that way or our DMs, it's not about creating this authentic connection. It's not about empathy. It's not about solving our problems. Again, it's like that slimy, sleazy, scammy kind of marketing that we don't like. And it's not about marketing. It's just how people are using marketing. So that's another thing about what marketing is not. Marketing's also not the same thing as job hunting. So if we're out there networking with colleagues or other consultants to find opportunities, for clients who are looking for outsourced support, or we put this like methodology driven website together that reads more like a resume, that's really more like job hunting dressed up as marketing. And the problem with it is it's not sustainable. So this is what a lot of us do when we leave our corporate jobs and we start our own consulting or coaching business, is we go about finding clients in the same way that we would as a job because we know how to do that. We've been doing that for decades. But the problem is that it doesn't work over the long term, because when you are looking for a job, you only need to land one employer who provides all of your needs for a long period of time. But with a business, you need a steady diet of clients coming your way. And so if you're going after clients in the same way you do as a job search, that hustle will get exhausting. And it's going to lead to those hit or miss results, the feast or famine income cycles. So that's not marketing. So now we're clear that what marketing is not. Let's talk about what marketing is. Marketing is simply a way of serving clients that you just haven't met yet by two things: making them aware that you exist. So awareness is one big part of marketing. And the second is motivating them to take the next step towards a potential partnership with you. So that's about intent to try. So what you're trying to do is you're trying to make them aware that you are the person who can help them solve their problems, and you know exactly how to help them, and you know exactly how to help them achieve their goals. And what you offer is providing greater value to them than going it alone or working with someone else. So you're trying to create this awareness, this intent to try, and you're trying to establish for them that I get you, I know what you're going through, and I know exactly how to help you. The other thing about what marketing is it's taking off the emotional burden of clarity from your clients to you. So it's not your client's job to figure out how amazing it could be to work with you or how amazing your offers are. It's not their job to sift through the clutter and discover you. And it's also not your referral network's job to be sending clients your way, no matter how generous they are. So marketing is you taking on the responsibility of making it easy for the clients who are looking for you to find you and understand you, get what you do. This is why copy is so important, is that you want to have clear, jargon-free copy, because clients don't have a lot of time to sift through all that clutter. They need to know an instant, like, oh my gosh, you're the person for me. You have the solution I've been looking for. You are the partner that I've been waiting for. I didn't know that you existed. Thank God you're here. That's what marketing does. And the other thing about marketing is it's really about making change happen. So marketing is very similar to consulting or coaching because it's about change, and it's about convincing people to act on what they want and what's in their best interest. So everything that you do as a consultant or coach in some ways is marketing. When you are inviting people to step into new levels of success in their careers or their lives or do something different, you're marketing because you're trying to convince them to change in some way that is meaningful and in alignment with who they are and what they want. That's the same thing what you're doing with marketing. It's just earlier in the process. So, marketing, when done right, is an act of empathy and service. So, I want you to picture yourself on the receiving end. I want you to picture yourself as a customer or client, and you were looking for a solution. And you were struggling with something and you wanted to achieve something that was important, it was meaningful to you, and then you landed on this website. And the copy on that website just spoke to you like, oh my gosh, this person really gets me. Like they're like reading my mind. How did that make you feel? Did you feel like that person who wrote that copy was slimy or sleazy or trying to get something? Or was it an expression of service? Or imagine when you went to an industry event and the speaker that they had there like shared this story or shared new insight that made you feel like, wow, they really understand me, and they inspired you to consider new ways of thinking. All of that is marketing in essence. It's about helping people wherever they're at. And so even if it's not a part of a paid engagement, but it's somewhat through content or through a speaking engagement or something on a website, all of that is marketing, and it's all along that journey of the transformation that your clients want. So, modern marketing, especially content marketing, is a genuine act of service where you help people find solutions to the problems that are pressing to them and that stand in the way of something meaningful and important to them. That's what you're doing with marketing. So, if you want a predictable client pipeline filled with the clients meant for you, embracing marketing isn't an option. Now, it is a choice of if you're going to approach it with that slime or sleaze or empathy and service. That's the option. And you don't have to go down that path. Like, you don't have to do cold call sales. Nobody's expecting that of you. And just because you see other people doing it doesn't mean that that's the right thing for you. You can stay in your values. You can stay in your values around integrity, empathy, and service. And that's a choice. You just have to choose things that align with who you are and what will resonate with your clients, but you have to do it from a heart of like, I want to serve these people. Even if I haven't met them yet. The work doesn't begin when they sign on the dotted line. The work begins when they first discover you. And so you want to be able to be that person who is serving them all along the way. So I want you to take a moment and reflect and rate yourself on a scale of 1 to 10, where 10 is, even if I don't know how to market myself in a more powerful, meaningful way, I embrace this as an integral part of my business and an active service to the clients I'm out to help. That's 10. And 1 is, I'm still hoping for the magical client fairy to drop clients in my lap and never have to deal with marketing ever again. Where are you? And if you're anywhere less than a 10, what's holding you back from rating yourself a 10? Now that we're clear on what marketing is, I want to talk about a mindset trap that many consultants and coaches find ourselves in because we're head people, we're experts at what we do, and it's really that curse of knowledge trap. And I want to talk about how it stands in the way of the predictable client pipeline that we want. So the first thing I do with my clients when I work with them one-on-one in my brand messaging and positioning program is to help them label their expertise and decide which expertise they want to build their business on. So expertise is really important. It's an important contributor to your brand positioning strategy. So I'm not trying to throw the baby out with the bathwater to say you're not an expert. Like that's a bad thing. You are an expert. That's a great thing. But when it comes to marketing, there's this belief system is like, I'm an expert at what I do. I shouldn't have to beg for an audience. Like, this is a belief that a lot of people have. Like, why do I have to do this? Like, I should just have opportunities coming my way. And so let me talk about what the problem is with this belief. So your expertise, again, is the foundation of your brand positioning strategy, and it points to who you help and the problem you solve. But the thing is it's not the essence of your brand positioning strategy. So that's a key element that contributes to it, but it's not the essence of it. The essence of your brand positioning strategy is really the person you help and the problem you solve, and then you align what you do to that person. And so the idea of focusing on your expertise is you have the spotlight in the wrong place. And it creates a huge barrier to not just marketing, but also your effective messaging. I did a whole episode on this. It's episode 139 on the curse of knowledge and why your expertise might be hurting your message. So the problem with being an expert is that you are so good at what you do and so knowledgeable about it that you cannot imagine others not knowing what you know. So at least a crappy messaging and marketing is because you have no idea how to meet people at their point of departure because you're so used to what you are talking about in your area of expertise. So you don't know how to adapt your language and meet your clients at their point of departure and connect with them. So it creates marketing challenges is that you almost speak to your clients at the end of their transformation, not at the beginning, and they have no context for that. So the reason why your expertise could hurt you is that you don't understand really what it's like to be at the beginning. And so the idea of marketing at this point is about connecting, and connecting isn't begging. It's positioning what you do not as the end, but the means to a bigger end, which is your client's aspirations. I've said this many times on the show is people do not buy your methodology or approach philosophy. They buy the results. And if you can't speak to the transformation that they want and where their starting point is, you are doing them a disservice because by default, you're expecting them to wade through your jargon to even understand what you do. And then more broadly, marketing is not begging for an audience. That's what influencers do on social media. And that's a specific business model where they are generating followers. And if they get a big enough audience, they can attract advertisers, which is not what you do. Your goal isn't to stand out to everybody. Your goal is to stand out to the clients that you're meant to work with and meet them where they're at so that they are now convinced that they want to work with you. Here's the thing. Okay, so there's really like 4 sales that a client goes through all the time when they're making a decision to work with a consultant or coach. And they have to be convinced on the first sale is like, I have a problem. And then the second level is, I have a problem and this problem is worth solving. And then the third level is, this is a problem, it's worth solving with help from somebody. And then the fourth sale really is about, this is a problem, it's worth solving, and I want to work specifically with you, consultant or coach. And so the problem with some of the marketing that you're seeing, cold call sales, for example, hits that fourth question or that fourth sale, but no context. It doesn't set the stage for what a client needs to know or understand before working with someone like you. Empathetic service-based marketing takes clients by the hand through the entire journey of what it takes to act on their own best interests with your help. So the trust that you build through your marketing sets the stage for the work that you'll later do with your clients. So I want you to consider yourself, my listener. If it comes time for you to be ready to work on your brand positioning and messaging, what role do you think this podcast will have on your decision to consider me versus other options? How well did we build the relationship through my content to set the stage for the relationship you'll imagine that we'll have together? So the transformation around your brand positioning and messaging isn't going to take place when you decide, yes, let's work together. You still need to get some sort of clarity like, oh yeah, I probably need to work on my brand messaging and positioning is standing in my way. This problem is worth solving. And then you will look for other people. Like, I'm not your only option. You're going to evaluate them and then you'll decide if I'm the right person. But you'll never decide if I'm the right person if you don't have clarity on having a problem and it's worth solving. That's the role of marketing. Marketing makes it clear to the clients that you want to help what they need to know or understand to even consider working with someone like you. So it's reflection time. So I want you to think about what you can do to reframe the feeling that you're begging for an audience to simply standing out to the person that you want to attract. Maybe you don't struggle with that, so you could just like skip on by that reflection. And think about like how you could think about attracting your clients and standing out to them and not worry so much around the vanity metrics around how many followers you have on LinkedIn or subscribers to your YouTube channel. It's really more about the percentage of the people that are following you that represent your ideal clients, the people that you're motivated to help, the ones that you're meant to help. And are they experiencing genuine value from you? So, got that clear? Awesome. Let's move on to the third part of this episode, which is the 5 actions that you can put in place right now that will help you start to fall in love with marketing or at least be on your way to loving marketing. And the first action is to move the spotlight of your business brand and everything you do from yourself, your methodology, your philosophy to the clients that you're meant to serve. This is the most important strategic pivot you could ever possibly make, is that it's first who, then what. When you know who you want to help, the problems that you're motivated to solve, and align yourself to that, then you are in a position of like, I am loving my clients. Like, it's really hard to love marketing if you don't love your clients and you don't love what you're going to do with them. The other thing about really getting clear on your ideal client is making sure that you don't settle for the clients that you should to, ought to help, but the ones that you really want. I can't tell you how many of my clients struggle with marketing when we first start to work together is because at the end of the day, like, they don't really want the work. Like, I was working with Sandy and she's like, I was really getting afraid that I was going to get known for what I didn't want to get known for. And then we went through the whole brand positioning. It's like, oh, well, now what I want to do is like flows out of me. Now I'm motivated. So this has happened. I have a million stories I could tell you about that. Like, I had another client who thought she wanted to really do a lot of work with like frontline operators and help create these positive customer experiences. So she put all of this stuff together and it's like, I don't want the work. And so she decided she really wanted to help like high achieving women break into this competitive industry, and she pivoted. And then she got excited about marketing. So if you're not loving marketing, one of the first things that you could look at is like, do you even know who you want to help and are you motivated to help them? It's really the love of who you want to help and making that vision bigger that really is the hack for overcoming fear, self-doubt, and these marketing mindset issues. Action number 2, there's so many ways that you can attract clients, tons of them. And you don't have to do them all. Choose the marketing tactics you'll actually enjoy that fits your personality, suits your style, leverages your strengths, and will get you in front of your ideal clients. It has to be both. Like it has to be something that you really enjoy doing, and it will get you in front of your ideal clients. So if you don't love the activities, or at least just enjoy them to some degree with marketing, you're not going to do them consistently. And consistency is key for marketing to work. So if you're more of an introvert like me, who likes creating content, then that's a good place to go. Like it's great to start there, but make sure whatever you're doing provides value to the clients that you want to attract. So there's a lot of people who post all the time on LinkedIn, or they create blog posts and it's like, hey, why are they not converting? And it's because you're not setting them up to convert, because you're just kind of talking about whatever you want to talk about. And you're not thinking about like, well, where's my ideal client and what can I solve for them? What do I need to help them know or understand in order to work with me? So it's also about how you set up that content for conversion. So you could talk about like, hey, great leaders do these 10 things. You can write an article, for example, on that. Or you could do it another way of saying, here's 5 sneaky mistakes that are keeping your best people from staying in your company, or 5 things that you're doing that are mistakes that are your best people are leaving because of. That might be a little bit more interesting. That might hit them a little bit more as a pain point. Or you might be more specific as it relates to your clients. Like, hey, you're trying to move from a management position to an executive role. Here's 5 things that you need to know, rather than in general. Like, here's some great strategies that all leaders should have. Like, there's no context for it. So if you want to create content and it suits your style, then awesome, do that. But make sure you're connecting it to your clients. Or let's say you're an extrovert and you love getting out there. Like I work with lots of people who are like, oh my gosh, I could never do marketing the way you do it because I got to be out. I got to be out and about meeting people. Awesome. Do that. Go networking. But choose networking events where your clients are. So going to networking events where your colleagues are is great for community, but it's not great for generating relationships with potential clients. So you need to make sure that you're using all of that great extroversion, relationship building skill sets, but in a location where you're actually meeting potential clients. So that's the second action. Third, no matter what marketing tactics you choose to prioritize, they all require skills, and you have to remember those skills are highly learnable. So none of us like just come to the table and we come to marketing, especially when marketing changes all the live long day, especially digital marketing, that we are just natural with all the skills. So there's lots of skills that you need to learn, and they're learnable. So there's skills for creating content that converts. I kind of tease some of them, but they also differ by location. Like there's a difference around how do I set up a blog to attract people to my website versus a podcast versus a YouTube channel, Facebook, LinkedIn. They're all different. And for networking, the one skill everybody needs to have is you need to come prepared with your what I do script. So that's not the same thing as your elevator pitch. There's nobody who likes an elevator pitch. Nobody wants to be trapped in an elevator and somebody takes like the 60 seconds to go to the next floor to like pepper them with a sales pitch. Nobody likes that. That's not what I'm talking about with the what I do script. A what I do script is a conversational way where you engage people around the story and the narrative, what you do in a way that connects with them. So you need to be prepared with that what I do script so that people actually are leaning in and wanting to learn more. So the bottom line is you really need to invest in your marketing skills development in the same way that you invest in your consulting or coaching skills development. I find it fascinating how many times people have no problem investing tons of money in the latest certification in this tool or whatever that is, and they think that that's going to open doors for new clients. But again, people don't pay you for your certification in a particular assessment tool. Like I promise you, they really don't care that much. What they will care about is how are you getting in front of them and making it easy for them to find you? How are you making it really easy for them to understand what they do? How easy on your website are you making it for them to know, how do I book a call with you? Or what kind of freebie can you offer that gives me some instant value? Those would be skills that I think would create a much stronger ROI than continuing to add more certifications after certifications with the hope that people are looking for that certification. They're not. They're looking for other things. So that's action number 3. Action number 4 is everybody needs to work on their copywriting, especially now with AI. No matter what tactic you do, always, it's the words that convince and convert people. It's the words that you use. No tactic works without the words. All of them rely on the words. And the words that are compelling are uniquely challenging to come by today in this world of AI, which is really flattening our voice. I could do a whole episode about AI, and I love AI. I have a love-hate thing, actually. I just be straightforward. I have a love-hate thing with AI because I need help with writing, because my writing is what I do all day long, and I get worried sometimes when I outsource too much to AI, is that my writing quality, my writing speed is diminishing because I'm spending more time wrestling with AI to get my words versus just like me writing them out myself. But the thing is that with anybody you work with, you need to know what excellence looks like, and AI doesn't always know what excellence looks like. So if you choose to use AI or not, you need to know the principles of what effective copywriting looks like so that when you are working with anybody, you know what the outputs are. So if AI generates something, like, okay, that's good or that's not good. But I think a lot of times in our world today, people are looking for more of that human connection, and we're all getting too savvy about the AI tells. And so it's still important to work on your copywriting. We should all know copywriting because it is the words that move people and move people to action. Speaking of final action number 5. The thing about with marketing is you're never going to get it right the first time. Yeah, with everything with your business development, continuous improvement needs to be a way of life. So I know we would love this whole idea like, okay, here's me, here's my goal. It's a straight shot to that goal. And I say this all the time is that our path to success in anything that we do as an entrepreneur is more like an ice skater. Our forward movement is moving side to side. You put stuff out there, see how the market responds, and then we adjust. So you can't expect marketing success with just one post or one tactic. You don't know what's going to break through. Like I had no idea when I was creating articles that my 5 steps to org design was going to be so significant. I thought maybe the articles I wrote on strategy would have been more impactful. Who knew? But the thing is that I didn't know. I just put some stuff out there, saw what responded, did more of that, and that worked for me as a consultant. And it continues to work for me now. Is the more I just write content that I know will serve my clients, those are the things that will get better traction, but I don't always know on the first go around. What I think is interesting is not necessarily what the market thinks. So just pay attention and put stuff out there and see what happens, and also, especially with content, there's a lot of expectation like, oh, I put a post on LinkedIn and it's like, oh, why is everybody not like running to my door? And it doesn't work that way. Like you need to build that platform, and LinkedIn is different. Like LinkedIn versus like your blog, it creates a different type of content kind of platform because LinkedIn is like, it's just what's within the news feed. Your blog has more of an everlasting kind of library about it. There's different things. So you just need to try out different things to see what works, but don't expect too much from one post. It's from the body of work that you're going to get the results. So reflection time. Think about those 5 actions, and which one do you think you can add? Like if you have some of them that are in place that it, awesome. But if there's one of those actions that you feel like is missing, which one is it? And what do you think you can focus on now to create the best results for you? So that is it for the main points for this episode. So as a quick recap, marketing isn't what you have to suffer through to get to the consulting or coaching that you love. It's really an integral part. And you don't have to be slimy and scammy. That's a choice. But the choice, if you want a predictable client pipeline, you really can't get around marketing, and it's not something you have to suffer through. Number 2, there is a curse of being an expert where you cannot imagine people have no words or context for your methodology or approach. And a result, the words that make you feel smart makes your potential clients feel dumb to the point where they might disconnect. So it's not beneath you to market what you do in words that get people to act and get engaged and be excited. That's your obligation. And there's 5 actions that will help you fall in love with marketing and become great at it. Number one is move the spotlight from you to the clients that you're meant to serve and the problems that you're motivated to solve. 2, choose marketing tactics you actually enjoy and will consistently do and will get you in front of clients. 3, develop the learnable skills that go with the tactics that you want to master. None of us are naturals. 4, continue to work on copywriting even in the age of AI. And 5, succeed like an ice skater, not in a straight line, but forward side-to-side movement. Put something out there, see how the market responds. So as your next steps, what I'd love for you to do is review those reflection exercises and identify one key mindset shift you want to make around marketing. Pinpoint what you believe now and what you want to believe, and then identify at least 7 reasons why it's worth it for you to make that shift. With the 5 actions that you want to master, identify where you can use some outside support. So if you picked one and you need more support, then figure out what you need. If it's messaging, I got a ton of freebies on my website. You can go to www.betsydordan.com/downloads and you can get my messaging guide. I have a guide on how to build a content foundation. There's a whole bunch of things there. And if this episode is revealing to you that you want to build a stronger business and brand foundation underneath your expertise, that you can move forward with more effective marketing with greater confidence, let's chat. Love to help you. Go to my website, book a free discovery call, and let's get to work on your custom solution. And also, as a bonus, I have done some recent episodes with my clients who just relaunched and launched their businesses, and they are so inspiring. So I would love for you to tune in. I'm going to put the links in the show notes where you can really see the value building your brand foundation with the clear and compelling messaging and how that helps you from a marketing standpoint. So that is it for today's episode. If you enjoyed this episode, please be sure to hit subscribe wherever you're tuning in. Pass it on to your colleagues and friends, and I'd love it if you could take a minute to rate and review it on Apple Podcasts. It helps more people find the show. I'd really appreciate it. And until next time, thanks so much for listening.